what is up? My name is Megan. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. I hope you guys are doing well and staying safe, and welcome to the August round of Candyland Picks My TBR. If you're new here, Candyland Picks My TBR is the TBR game I play every month where I use the actual Candyland board right here to pick out prompts for me. Each color on the board corresponds to a different prompt, which I will put right up here for you guys, and that's how we play the game. I always start with 5 spins, add an extra spin if I don't complete my prior month's TBR, and another spin every time we fall on the same color 3 times during a game. If you want more of these games or more explanations on how it's played, I will leave a playlist up above for you guys. With all that being said, I did not complete July's TBR. However, I will say that the reading mojo is back up and swinging. I feel like my 2 weeks of vacation, which I'm currently on, the bunny is playing around, my bad for that, have really helped me kick my reading back up again, which is super exciting. So I'm incredibly hyped for this round. There are also a lot of releases and required reads that I do kind of want to fit in through this game, so we'll see how everything goes, crossing my fingers that it works out well for me this month. And without further ado, let's go into spin number 1. We're going for spin number 1. This month I'm going to try to spit her out flat because last month was an absolute disaster. I just don't know if by holding it down we're going to give it chances to spin one way or other, but we're just going to try and figure it out. So spin number 1. Spin number 1 is a double yellow. Spin number 1 fell on double yellow, and I did switch up this prompt a little bit because it used to be subscription boxes. However, I have canceled a lot of them, and I've shifted around my shelves and unhauled a lot of special editions to curate a more specific library. So I'm changing this prompt to be special editions, subscriptions, or limited edition print runs, pretty books, books that aren't the typical just regular hardback or paperback. Anything else kind of fits in. And for that I decided to go with Impossible Creatures by Catherine Rundle. This is the exclusive Waterstone edition, which, I'm sorry for the sunlight, but it's beautiful. And it is a middle grade fantasy, of course, that is signed by the author. And I've talked about this book a lot and how I'm excited to be able to get to it. And this month on my Patreon, we are doing this as a buddy read. So we will be reading it together in the month of August and having a live chat all together, probably via Zoom or something, to discuss this book club book in early September or end of August. If you want to participate in this read along with us, you can look at the details down below for my Patreon, but the least costly tier to join the buddy read is the Jack the Ripper tier, which is around $4 Canadian. So if ever you want to participate in these buddy reads, I'm just letting you know, but I'm incredibly excited. I had tried many times to get this to be my book club pick for A Sprinkle of Magic. It never won. It was always super close, but I'm finally going to be reading it, and I feel like it's the perfect vibes for end of summer, getting into fall. Moving on to spin number 2. Let's move on to spin number 2, which is double blue. Spin number 2 brought us to double blue, which is a recent purchase, and for that I will be going with A Taste of Magic by J.L. This is a book I picked up only a few months ago, and it is actually my book club pick for the month of August. If you missed that announcement, I will leave it linked in the cards for you guys, but this is the book we ended up voting on for the August month, and this is a witchy middle grade book about a young girl learning about her powers. She is going to this magical school. However, due to restructurations and lack of funding, she needs to find a way to be able to pay for her school, or else she won't be able to go. And so she enters this baking competition. So it's full of magic, witchiness, and baking, which are all of my favorite things. So I have high hopes for this, and again, if you want to join us, the discussion will be happening at the end of August on this channel. Moving on to spin number 3. Let's go to spin number 3. Oh, it fell on the pink with the little candy here. I think that means we're falling back quite a bit, but free pick. Spin number 3 ended up being a free pick because we fell on that kind of like red and white mint-ish candy, which did slow our progress on the board, but at least it's a free pick, so like I'm not too mad about it. And for this, I can't even believe I'm putting this on the TBR. We are going with Words of Radiance, Book 2 in the Stormlight Archives, Part 1. So I have the UK editions of these that are split into 2 because it is way too daunting for me to just pick up one entire book. This book is almost... How long is this book without getting spoiled? Like over 650 pages long, and this is only one part. So this is what I'm challenging myself to in August. I have briefly mentioned this on my channel that I finished The Way of Kings after way too long, and I really loved the last like 1/3 of that book, and this is, from what I've heard, my favorite character of the moment's book. My favorite character in the Stormlight Archive as of now is Shallan, with Kaladin being a close second, but this is Shallan's book, and I'm really interested from all the world building at the end of book 1 to see where her storyline goes, as well as where Kaladin's story is also going to go. So I thought, because The Way of Kings is so fresh in my head, and because I've been having so much fun with Brandon Sanderson in the month of July, that I should use this free pick to like keep going. So cross your fingers for me, and I hope I love this even more than I did book 1. Also, book 5 comes out in December, so like we need to get prepared. Moving on to spin number 4. Let's go for spin number 4. Oh my god, it went back on the same. So I guess we're just not moving, and we add another free pick. We literally spun the same exact thing twice in a row, which I don't know that has ever happened with a free pick, but we'll take it. For that, I am going with Skandar and the Phantom Rider by A.F. Stedman, which is book 2 in the Skandar series. I have been hosting a read-along for this series. I just recently did the discussion for book 1. If you missed it, the live is still up on my channel, and we are now moving on to book 2. If you don't know what Skandar is, I will leave my in-length book discussion on book 1 here, which I feel like brought a lot of people to my channel. Skandar is one of my ultimate favorite series ever, more specifically middle grade series, and it follows a young boy named Skandar who becomes a unicorn rider, and he goes to this like school to learn how to bond with your unicorn and hone in on your powers. And obviously it's like a chosen one trope with some mysteries in there and a wonderful friendship group. Again, I will leave all the information for this read along, the first live show, and my review in the description as well. But I need to get a move on with book 2 because obviously our next live show will be probably like first week of September is where I'm aiming to have the discussion. But by the time this video is up, or in the upcoming days, the live shows will be preset so that you can notify yourself if you want to join. But I'm incredibly excited, and I had started reading this before I got ill last year, and I will be starting all over again so I don't miss anything. Moving on to spin number 5, and what should have been a last spin if I had been a good girl and read all the books on my TBR, which is not the case. If we follow this once more, or another pink, we gotta add a spin. It would be the first time I would get burned by a free pick. Double green. Spin number 5 brought us to double green, which is a random prompt, and for this we're going to go with the TBR jar of all the unread books I had on my shelves, saying that I did unhaul a little bit over 100 books, which I have filmed for you guys. Obviously both of the parts of that unhaul are up now if you want to watch them, but I might be picking some that like were in that unhaul that I did not pick out of the jar, so we'll go until we find one. Let's shake things up. And let's go with this one, which was The Woman in Cabin 10, which I did unhaul. I feel like this might take a while. Now we have The Rival, which I also unhauled. Wow, this is going to take forever. We have In Your Dreams, Holden Rhodes. Let me get it and then I'll explain to you why I'm super happy about this. This is the book in question, and this is I think it's the third. I own 3 of the 4 books in the Queen's Coast series, which is this series. It's like small town romances, and I am obsessed with them. I need to get the last book I'm missing because, listen, I'm cheap and I'm technically going on a book buying ban. We'll talk about that more in my upcoming haul, but like, it's on my wish list. Eventually it'll get to me, but this is the book we're reading this month. One, I'm excited because there was a lack of romance in this TBR thus far, but also I put up a poll on my channel in my community page yesterday naming, like, pick a book that I'm gonna read from my summer reading list of like books I didn't get to yet, and this was one of the contenders. Unfortunately, it was very far off from winning, which I was disappointed about because this is a series that I've been loving and really wanted to continue, and like, plot twist, I get to continue all fair and square, and that means it's like extra books from that TBR getting read, which if you haven't seen that TBR, I know I've been referencing so many videos. I'm sorry, it just kind of like is accidentally all lining up. I will leave that one in the cards as well because I feel like there's a lot of good books on there. But as I mentioned, these are like small town romances. They're all kind of interconnected standalone books in Queen's Cove, and I am obsessed with Stephanie Archer. She is a Canadian author, and I feel like she does Canadian vibes so well. And I can't believe, what are the odds? Freaking serendipity. Moving on to spin number 6, which will be our last spin unless we get that little free pick candy again. Let's go on what should be our last spin unless we get another pink. Double green to end us off. Spin number 6 brought us to random prompt yet again. So we're going to use the TBR jar again instead of a random prompt and just go from there. What is this one? Lyrics of a Small Town. I unhauled as well. Ooh! Okay, I'm not sure how I feel about this one, but the TBR jar has spoken. So, I totally blanked and forgot to show you guys. This is what the little paper says, if you can even see that with all the sunlight. I'm so sorry. This is Alex Neptune, Dragon Thief, which is a very small little middle grade book, and usually I'm like super excited for these kinds of books, but I don't know why, like, this feels daunting to me, and I know when I read it I'm gonna end up loving it, and it's like blurred by some of my like favorite middle grade authors, and just like, it's an ocean story, it's like related to magical myths. It's gonna fly by. How long is this book is like 250 pages, so like it would be a great read, and obviously I'm gonna try my best to get to it, but it's probably the one I'm most reluctant in reading this month, though that's saying a lot because there is Words of Radiance on my TBR. But the TBR has spoken, and this is like a good summer vibes, so we're gonna try our best to read this one. This was also in, I think, my first self-destruct video, or I considered it. It was one or the other, but the pirate stories in July didn't let me down, so we're hoping this one doesn't either. If there's pirates. I know there's like ocean vibes. So let's recap the books on my official TBR before we go in and talk about the other plans I have. One, we have Impossible Creatures by Catherine Rundle, A Taste of Magic by J.L., Words of Radiance Part 1 by Brandon Sanderson, Skandar and the Phantom Rider, In Your Dreams Holden Rhodes, and Alex Neptune Dragon Thief. So all in all, it's a lot of middle grade, it's a lot of fantasy, and very little romance, which is honestly a little bit worrisome because I have a few like days at the beach planned, and maybe I'll be in the mood for middle grade at the beach because I'm always in the mood for middle grade. But my plan is probably to add another romance to the stack if at all possible. So those are like required reading, and when I say required reading, like this month, if I don't read my entire TBR, we're gonna think of an actual consequence because this is very doable. Like, maybe like aside from Words of Radiance, but I have the audio for that and I have a friend for that, so it's like a phone a friend. But yeah, it's a beautiful stack though. I will say I'm very excited for like the middle grade, especially In Your Dreams Holden Rhodes as well. But let me talk to you guys about the other like books I'm excited that are either upcoming or that I also need to add because they won the poll. So let's check back on the poll, but I don't think it changed in the last few minutes that I've been filming this video. But we never know. It has not. Okay, so actually I posted this very late last night and like 44 people voted, which is insane. So thank you if you partake in all my polls. But the clear winner with 57% of the votes was Bright Young Women by Jessica Knoll, which is a thriller. And I mentioned this, I am slowly falling out of love with thrillers, but this one is one I know I can enjoy. It is kind of a like serial killer story, and I think it has either different perspectives or different timelines or something. I don't really remember. Again, I think I can find the audio of this on Book Beach, not Book Beach. Why can't I talk today? This is so messy. On BookBeat, which is my favorite audio app, by the way. I'm not working with them, I'm just saying. And so yeah, this could be definitely a beach read as well. I feel like thrillers are easy to digest. And the runner-up in the poll was actually Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher, which I'm not gonna, again, talk about how I feel that this book is over 500 pages. To me, romance is over like 400 pages is insane, but maybe it's gonna be like the best thing that's ever happened to me. So this, if I have time and I'm looking for another romance, is something I may pick up because apparently the poll thinks it could be a good idea, and this was on my summer TBRs. So if I'm craving romance and have time and have completed my TBR or am on course to do so, I may eventually pick this up, but obviously it's big, so it's gonna have to wait a little bit. That being said, I also want to get back on my Keepers of the Lost Cities like content because I had planned a read along and I need to like get back to it, but I'm in the mood for it. So Keepers I also have audiobooks for, and there are a lot of August releases, so I'll just highlight the ones that I am very excited for and I know are coming to me. The first is The Secret of Golden Island, which is a middle grade. We have Apprentice to the Villain, the paperback edition of Throne of the Fallen. We have Lady Macbeth as well. I had pre-ordered the Waterstones exclusive. There are some issues with printers, so I don't know when exactly I'm going to end up with that book. Enemies to Lovers, which I'm super excited about. And like the last two, if they get to me, I might not have the self-control to like wait. One is The Life Impossible by Matt Haig, and the other is Amari and the Despicable Wonders, which is the third book in the Amari and the Night Brothers series by B.B. Alston, which I can't believe it's that time of year where a new Amari book releases. I still want to do my reread of the first two books, but that might be a little bit overly ambitious. But the two like other books on my TBR that are not mandatory but that have been selected would be Bright Young Women and Loved Redesign, and then all the others will trickle in as they come with the new releases, and we'll figure out a plan when they get here. So that's the TBR, folks. Let me know what I should prioritize, what you want to see content-wise this month. And as always, I will leave all the information for all the read-alongs, the Patreon, and everything else in the cards and the description, as I mentioned. And I will see you very soon with another video. Don't forget to let me know what you are reading this month. And happy reading, guys. Bye!